Welcome to Apropos. Well, in a race with all still to play for, its endorsement could have been a factor in a handful of key battleground states. The executive board of one of America's largest trade unions has decided not to provide its backing to either candidate. That's despite a poll of members that saw Donald Trump receive 58% of the votes and Kamala Harris 31%. Well, for the latest, let's cross live to our Washington correspondent, Fraser Jackson. Fraser, election observers, they had been eagerly awaiting white smoke following this meeting and for the last few months, really. Is this a major upset for the Democrats, the fact that neither Trump nor Kamala Harris has received the backing of this union?
Well, both sides have been trying to get the Teamsters on board. They have roughly 1.3 million members, and most of those members are in key swing states like Michigan, Nevada and Pennsylvania. So really it could be quite a pivotal endorsement, which has now not gone either party's way, really. The internal polling from the Teamsters themselves showed that around 60%, just shy of 60% of their workers favoured Trump, and just under a third, rather, were favouring Harris. We heard from the president of the Teamsters, Sharon O'Brien, who said neither major candidate was able to make serious commitments to our union to ensure the interests of working people are always put before big business. He then continued, we sought commitments from both Trump and Harris not to interfere in critical union campaigns or core Teamsters industries and to honour our members' right to strike, but were unable to secure those pledges. Of course, those strikes last year in 2023 were something that secured a pay rise for many union members across the automotive industry, around 11% increase for some workers, but there have been also criticisms of the right to strike, especially from Donald Trump in an ex-interview with Elon Musk. He basically said that Elon Musk did the right thing in basically trying to dissuade people from being able to strike, and that was something that Sharon O'Brien, the president of the Teamsters, pushed back against by Trump. But Sharon O'Brien also did speak at the RNC this year and made a relatively apolitical speech. He did apparently also try to speak at the DNC, but didn't actually get given a speaker's slot. But there were some Teamsters who were there. So an important endorsement, which is not going either way. Both campaigns trying to spin it to their advantage. We're hearing from Donald Trump, who said the vast majority of rank and file working men and women in this important organization want President Donald Trump back in the White House. That was from his campaign. And the Harris campaign saying when she is elected president, she will look out for the Teamsters, rank and file, no matter what, because they always have been and always will be the people she fights for. So regardless of the endorsement officially not going either way, both campaigns trying to take advantage of it.
Fraser, for now, thank you so much. That is Fraser Jackson, our Washington correspondent. Well, for more, let's bring in Paul Clark. He's Professor of Labour and Employment Relations at Pennsylvania State University in the US. Thank you so much for being with us on the programme this evening, Paul. So has this lack of an endorsement come as a surprise? What were you expecting?
Well, I don't think this is a big surprise. As your report suggested, a large percentage of the Teamsters are Trump supporters. The union leaders at the Teamsters are elected officials, and they have to be responsive to their members. And in this case, I don't think the president of the Teamsters felt comfortable issuing an endorsement for either candidate, given the split in his membership.
The Teamsters, they'd endorsed Joe Biden back in 2020, Hillary Clinton in 2016, Obama in 2008 and 2012. So how much of a blow will this be seen as being for Kamala Harris? She's received backing from other major trade unions in the US.
Well, I think she would have very much liked to have had the endorsement of the Teamsters, but she will have the endorsement of virtually all other major unions in the United States. The only unions that that have supported Donald Trump are the police unions and the border patrol unions, and they're the other unions, the major industrial unions, service unions, healthcare unions. They have all or will endorse Harris, and they'll put their unions' assets and resources behind her. So the support she's going to get from those unions is going to be very helpful.
And how much sway do unions actually have, though, in the US in terms of when it comes to influencing how voters actually decide to cast their ballot on polling day?
Well, really, what unions focus on is their own membership. And union membership in the US is relatively small compared to other countries. But the margins for the key battleground states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, are going to be very narrow. And there are significant numbers of union members in those states. So unions will be trying to get their members in those key swing states to vote for Harris. They'll have get out the vote efforts, they'll have phone banks, um, they'll have an energized membership. And that could make the difference when the margin is going to be so small.
And how much influence then do the unions have when it comes to policy? Do they have any kind of influence there? Both Trump and Biden as well, they've been joining Teamsters roundtables since they began holding them back in December.
Yeah. Well, Joe Biden ran on the position that he wanted to be the most pro-union president in American history. And he has done a great number of things that have benefited the labor movement. There's no question that the only pro-union candidate in the election is Kamala Harris. And unions have received a big boost from the Biden administration. And I think they'll receive, and they think they'll receive a big boost from Kamala Harris. So it does make a difference.
And in terms of what Teamsters President Sean O'Brien has been saying, he had sought speaking slots at both the Democrat and Republican conventions. What did you make of the fact that he was given a primetime slot by the Republicans, but not by the Democrats?
Well, I think O'Brien, who spoke at the Republican convention, he was the first national union president to ever do that. I think he was trying to send a signal to his membership, that percentage that support Donald Trump, that he heard them. The Democrats, probably in part because he did speak at the Republican convention, didn't invite him to speak. But I think his reasons for doing so are internal political reasons. He has to get reelected, and he didn't want to offend this large percentage of his membership that are strong Trump supporters.
Yeah, because it may come as a surprise to some viewers because Kamala Harris, she's been supportive on the campaign trail of one of this union's top policy priorities, that is the Protecting the Right to Organise Act, which strengthens workers' ability to form a union and to do things like bargain with employers. So is this really something that's going to be seen as a boost for Trump, despite the fact that he hasn't been as pro-union as the Democrats have been?
No, I don't think this will make much difference in terms of Trump support. He has his supporters in the unions. In the Teamsters, they have more Trump supporters than most unions. I don't think this is going to change anybody's vote one way or the other.
But you think it might have been crucial or important in some of the key battleground states?
Well, I do think on the margin, having the Teamsters endorsement would help. Unions have been gearing up for this election for a long time, and they are ready to go. They're going to bring a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. They're going to get out there in the communities to try to get their members who are undecided, the undecided portion of their members, to vote for Harris. And since the election is going to be so tight, that could make a difference.
And what have some of the other unions been saying? Why have they said that they have been deciding to put their support behind Kamala Harris then?
Well, again, it's because of the performance of the Biden administration. In our labor relations system, there's a government agency that interprets labor law. It swings back and forth. When Republicans are in office, it tends to rule in favor of employers. When the labor movement, when a labor-friendly administration, a Democratic administration is in office, it tends to rule in favor of workers and unions. The Biden National Labor Relations Board has been very, very supportive of unions. and has interpreted the law in a way that has really given them a boost. So that's probably the main thing that they're looking at, that they hope will continue and they believe will continue under a Harris administration.
And does the fact that there was, no decision made to back either candidate, does that suggest that this union in particular is divided among itself when it comes to what the board may be feeling on one hand and what the rank and file members are saying on the other?
Yeah, it really is. There is a split among American union members. Trump has a greater percentage of union member support than most Republican presidents in the recent past. But in his first administration, he did virtually nothing to support unions as organizations. The Biden administration has done a great deal. The union leaders know this, but many of the members don't. They're voting on social issues, on immigration, on guns, on transgender rights. It's the union leaders that are really knowledgeable and focused on what the Trump administration versus the Biden administration has done to support them.
OK, Paul, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for your time on the programme, though. That is Professor Paul Clark. He's a Professor of Labour and Employment Relations at Pennsylvania State University. Thank you so much. Do stay with us. Do stay with us. Up next.